So, as most of you know, it's now time for the best man.
I wouldn't expect that much, honestly. You're going to be really let down. I'm really sorry. Right, okay then. Thank you. You're right. Thank you. As is customary, I'd like to say how beautiful the bride looks today. And I think if we can agree on one thing today, it's that Sean is punching well above his weight. And also to all the bridesmaids who look stunning as well. And, oh, I've lost myself already. Right, they helped organise this venue, and I'm sure if it was left to me and Sean, we'd probably be sat in snobs, tucking into a sharing platter. So it's marginally better. Right, so for Chloe's side of the family, I'm Jordan. I'm the best man. I've known and been very good friends with Sean for over 15 years. And for Sean's side of the family, I'm that bloke that's been turning up to your family parties for the last 10 years. No idea why. But me and Sean have really grown up together, although in our case, probably haven't grown up as quite as much as we should. I'm not going to be one of those best men that makes a lot of rude, vulgar and sexual remarks. I realise there's a lot of very young people in there, like Rory, Sean's son, and a lot of old people, like Peter, Sean's dad. And I was a bit nervous in preparation for this speech until another friend said, don't worry, all you have to do is find 5 minutes to tell you how much you like him. And then I really started to panic. But I've stayed off the internet and made this as original as possibly could. Turn page. Oh, no, it's not supposed to be said, is it? Right, anyway, me and Sean started being friends in year 8, I'd say. I'd go round to his parents' house. We'd watch Not Going Out DVDs, play table tennis, play on his trampoline, just things kids do. Sean, a lot of you won't know this, was famous in the canteen for eating anything people would concoct into an empty pasta pot. So sometimes this would contain Coke, gravy, pasta, oranges, mashed potato, you name it, he'd eat it. And he wonders why no girls wanted to kiss him. Sean and I would mess around in school a lot, but Sean was actually, contrary to popular belief, not an idiot. He actually got a B in maths, a C in science, and a D behind the bike sheds. Mojo, that was just a rumour. That was just a rumour. Just a rumour. But I've got to give it to him. Sean does scrub up well. Can I have a round of applause for Sean? Go on, he does scrub up well. Although I'm sure Chloe had a significant part to play in that, to be honest. So I think if it was down to Sean, he'd probably be standing here in below-the-knee denim shorts and a fluorescent Ralph Lauren polo. Does that sound about right?
And a yellow top.
And a yellow top. One thing I've always thought about Sean was how terrible his fashion sense was growing up. I've noticed since... Yeah, thank you. I've noticed since he met Chloe, this has got gradually better, but back in the day, don't get me wrong, it was awful. He used to wear Jack and Jones, Pierre Cardin, Peacock's own brand. He used to wear a lot of the brand Bench, because that's where he found himself on a school rugby team. And then he donned the jacket of 1,000 zips with the brand Superdry, because that's what the girls were whenever he tried to speak to them. But we grew to be young men. Thank you. Bit more. Come on. I'm loosening up now. Come on. We grew to be younger men. We were interested in drinking, parties and girls. Sean's first car was actually named Chloe before he ever charmed her or attempted to. And he used to pick me up. We'd sit in McDonald's car park and we'd talk about seducing women that wouldn't go near us with a 10-foot barge pole. When Sean actually wanted to message Chloe, he didn't know what to say. And you may not know this, but Sean asked me for help with sending Chloe one of the first messages. Now, I'm going to say something that is going to shock a lot of you, but back in the day, I wasn't a serial womanizer. So it was very much the blind leading the blind. And something else that might shock you, Sean actually did used to pull a lot on doors that said push. But obviously this worked out and she eventually agreed to go out with him. On their first date, in a bid to impress Chloe, Sean thought he would try a strong cocktail, immediately throwing up in the bathroom. And even though Sean was sick and Chloe wasn't, she grew sick of her decision to see Sean again. But of course she did, and the rest is history. And during this time, me and Sean and friends were going out drinking, lads' holidays, etc. However, we weren't really lads. We've been compared to the in-betweeners quite a few times. To give a clue of how young and naive we actually were, we once purchased tickets to a pool party for nearly €50. That doesn't sound that bad, but we were actually staying at that hotel anyway. And we didn't even go. We didn't want to be around the crowd, so. And I'll never forget, following a return from one of our lads' holidays, Elliot's late father, Noel, God rest his soul, he picked us up from the airport, and niceties were exchanged. How was the holiday? How was the weather, etc. And he turned around to us and went, "Go on then, lads. Who won?" Thinking, how many girls have we copped off with? I'll never forget the look of disappointment on his face when I said we all drew. I'll never forget that. But that's what we were like. We spent more time playing card games, taking mick out of each other, and the occasional 8-hour-long I Spy game in the airport, which I think... Right, so there's a lot of funny stories about Sean, to be honest. Honestly, most of them aren't really appropriate for this sort of environment, so I'll tell one that might just be about okay. So Sean is actually a very sensible, considered person who knows a lot about world affairs and the political landscape. Until his fifth pint. Then, as we're probably all aware, he becomes an absolute lunatic. He becomes like a toddler who's just started to walk. You're constantly running after him, trying to stop him from talking to people he doesn't know, and trying to take a bottle out of his mouth. Now, I'm aware of this, but my mum wasn't. So Sean would often come to my house for pre-drinks, maybe even a cup of tea, and he would come round, talk about the latest extension he's doing, perhaps the current Bank of England base rate, I don't know. And my mum would always comment about how sensible and how mature he is, and how I should be more like him. When in reality, hours later, he'd be covered in the kebab he just dropped down himself, and cutting his laces off with scissors because he's too drunk to untie them. And by the way, that's not a joke. He actually has done that a number of times. So one night, look at his face. One night, we went out to a bar/nightclub. I'm not sure I'm allowed to name it for legal reasons, and we don't want to come across as snobs. So... It all started fine as usual, interesting conversation, few drinks, etc. Then the conversation, for some reason, turned to plucking eyebrows and how it hurts. Look at his face, he knows what I'm going to say. Typical masculine debates that we all have. So Sean actually happened to mention that he can tear any hair on his body part without any pain whatsoever. I will preface this by saying he was drunk, to be fair. In fact, no matter how drunk you are, if you were Sean, you are the sober one. It's just something that automatically happens. Right, so naturally, we asked for a demonstration, so he pulled some leg hair out in clumps, no reaction. Impressive. So then he went for his chest hair. Same again, no reaction, even more impressive. Now, he probably and should have stopped there. However, he proceeded to go to a region that shall not be confirmed, pulled out clumps of hair and throwed it into the air continuously like confetti. And that might sound vulgar, but as a drunk early 20-something bloke in a bar, that was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. And that's where the story probably should end. But it doesn't. So we went to the club part of this after this, upstairs, and we're standing around with our drinks, watching everybody else have a good time and not joining in as we usually did. I needed a toilet, surprisingly. So I stayed there and I said, I'll be back in a second. I couldn't have been more than 3 minutes when I come back and see him slut dropping like a man possessed. having a seriously intense dance-off with, to put it politely, middle-aged woman. And losing, by the way. Now that might sound crazy, but for Sean, he's been known to partake in dance-off rather frequently, as I'm sure his family and friends can attest to. Upon seeing this, I immediately sobered up and managed to capture a video of the ordeal. And the woman is hit. No, she's not really. No, she's not really. I managed to get a video, and I showed my mum the next morning. So from then on, when I said I was going out with Sean, she said, "Be careful." And there are a few other stories that aren't probably suitable for today. But if you'd like to hear about the Kings Norton ex-serviceman stomach pump story, or the real reason we were kicked out in Magaluf in 2018, come and see me at the bar. I'll tell you everything. Right, so this is the nice bit, I think. Right, so I did say the real Sean there, but that's not the real Sean. I've said a lot about him today that make him sound like a bit of a maniac. But somebody told me when writing a best man speech, think of a word that best describes them. The word that kept cropping up in my mind was actually reliable. So he's helped me out in some really tricky and dark situations. Just to name two very, very shortly. I'm sure you know this one. I was in a bad way in Birmingham city centre, early hours of the morning, in a bit of trouble. And the first person I could think of to call for was help. Even though we had work in a few hours, he drove all the way from Bromsgrove to pick me up, stayed with me, drove me to the McDonald's car park while I calmed down, which was a few hours, to be fair. He had work in the morning as well. Then he dropped me home. And when I left university abruptly, yeah, I don't have a degree. I'm sure you're all shocked. He had to pick me. Yeah. He had to pick me up from Liverpool at very, very short notice. He did take the mick out of me the whole way home. But that's the sort of relationship we have. We have the sort of relationship where I don't actually tell him that I love him and I appreciate him, because I don't. No, I'm joking. No, we're not like that. We're probably both raised in similar ways, but I think we both know that we do love each other, and I do love him. Honestly, I do. He's caring, he's generous, he's great. I'm very proud to be his best man. Ever since I've known him, he's actually treated me like family, and to even go further than that, his family have treated me like family as well. Except Kieran, everybody else loves it. No, but it's something. No, keep your hands down. I'm coming to the end. Let me get to the bar. Right. But yeah, his family treat me like family. It's something I'm really grateful for. And Sean is a traditionalist, I would say. As long as I've known him, he's always wanted a beautiful wife, a family, his family-in-laws and extended family to be close to him, and really, the most important thing, a house that he's had a major part in building. And besides your dad doing all the house renovations, you've got everything else you could have ever wanted. Do you know what? This has gone a lot better than I thought it would. What time are we on? Has somebody got a clock? Right, I'm coming to the end. Right, so 13. Jesus. The next thing for me to say is that I hope you have a long and loving life together. But to be honest, there isn't really any hope involved. Everyone here knows how much you love each other, and they can see it as well. We all know you're going to be absolutely fine, and in fact, a lot more than fine. So, Chloe, thank you for giving my best mate everything he's ever wanted. Sean, thank you for making me a small part in your big day. So, sorry. Right. Right. Don't take any photos.
They're not real. They're not real.
Right. So I know you all want to get to the bar, and mine's a Guinness if you insist. But I'd like to ask everyone, please, to stand. And please raise a glass to Mr. and Mrs. Knorton. Thank you all very much.